riding the waves of whatever happens in the moment and whatever seems to be working right now is great, but also being able to know that it's going to come back down.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 117, and today we're going to go a little bit behind the scenes in the life of Duo. So we kind of just wanted to talk about how our business partnership has evolved over the past 5 years, because things look a lot different now than they used to. And that's because we're growing and we're scaling and we're changing services here and there or dropping services. And just over the course of 5 years, I mean, Abby's got older kids now. I've got a baby. So there's just been a lot of change, not only in our personal lives, but also in our business too. And Abby's husband is now an entrepreneur too and starting on this new venture. So we've really had to kind of evolve in our business, both personally and from a business perspective. And we think that sometimes talking about this with you guys, our audience, is really nice for you to hear that we don't always have our shit together.
I would say, I think we crave consistency in this world, and like we really want to feel like we can get this perfect routine, and like we can have this perfect morning routine or this perfect day routine, or like schedule childcare for this certain amount of time or whatever it is. And nothing in the last 5 years has been consistent.
Not a single thing. I remember after I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this newborn baby. I'm going to have my mat leave. And then my baby's going to make sure I get up in the morning. So like, I'm going to have a routine, right? I was in my brain. I was like, I'm going to have a routine now, because I've never been good with routines. Abby's better at them. For like a while. I feel like Abby gets on a routine and then something happens and it breaks. But she is better at it than I am. And I have zero routine since I've had Mila, and she's almost 1 now. So
I think that's it. And I said this to Courtney literally yesterday about something else, but like riding the waves of like whatever happens in the moment and whatever seems to be working right now is great. But also being able to like know that it's going to come back down. Things are going to change. Like in our life, that is so true. Like the kids change, like their lifestyles change, their routines change. And then also something happens in your life and that changes. And I think we have never had consistency. So it might look like on the outside we're a well-oiled machine. We're not. We're always adapting. Yeah, we're always adapting, like always changing. And sometimes it's really hard because I do really crave consistency and I crave something solid that I know. So I am constantly in this kind of like little bit stressed out situation, but I also think it's like just learning how to adapt. And I think that is something that has been more clear now in this year of our business than ever before. Because I think I was fighting against it for so long, like fighting to figure out what that perfect routine is. And I think I've been getting a little bit better at just handling the fact that it's not going to be consistent. Yeah. Maybe.
I think we crave consistency, but we also, I think the reason that we get into entrepreneurship too is because we were at like a 9 to 5 and it got to be too repetitive too, right? So it's this weird balance between wanting the things to be the same all the time, but then also wanting that flexibility and for things to be different, because at our agency life, it was just the same thing, repeat, like day after. It was like Groundhog's Day words. But so it really is a weird balance. So anyways, with all of that said, we just kind of want to talk about how our partnership over the past 5 years has evolved and kind of how Duo has changed. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is just dividing and conquering more often than not. I think we have really figured out what we're good at in our business over the course of the 5 years, and we know our strengths and our weaknesses. So we really lean in on those, and we're kind of at a point now too where I do all of the branding, she does all of the SEO, and some of the times I don't even know what she's working on, and sometimes she doesn't know what I'm working on, because we're each kind of like handling our own clients and that process with those clients within those services. So it's been actually really nice. I think at the beginning we tried to be on all discovery calls and all emails and all points of communication. I was in everything SEO. She was in everything branding. And we got to a point where that just wasn't sustainable for our business and it wasn't efficient. So now we know that she's handling SEO. I'm handling branding. There's a tiny bit of overlap here and there, but really we kind of have separated both of those so that we're the expert in both of those, so we can handle both of those without muddying up Abby's day.
We realized too, like if you're in a business partnership and there was a period of time where we were like, well, if we're not together, we're not the duo. Like how, like we need to make sure that we're the duo. And we still feel that way about certain things, like speaking and events. Like that is where, our partnership definitely matters more so than anywhere else. But at the same time, like if you are running a business with someone else, you started that business because your strengths complement each other, not because you just duplicated yourself, which at times would be great. And maybe you have, like maybe you do have an exact clone, but still, I think we got to a point where we realized we couldn't scale our business by being in the same things all the time. We needed to focus on our zones of geniuses, focus on what we wanted to do. And that was really the only way that we were going to start scaling in a bigger way, because if we were both present for everything, we just wouldn't get as much done.
I remember it was a real struggle at the beginning. I would tell Abby, especially when I was still at the agency and she was running Duo more full time, she would show up on stories and stuff like that, which I've never been great at that, so that's always something I need to work on. But I'm just like, Abby, it's like Uno, it's not Duo. Like nobody knows me. And she's like, Courtney, it's okay. It's like a phase. It's a part of our business. It's a season. Yeah. And I think that's something too that we just have to remember, is that our business goes through seasons, and it doesn't have to stay that way. It's just going to be that way for a little bit of time.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing, and we talk about this a lot in any of the past episodes that you've heard of us talking about our business partnership and how things have evolved, or just how we work together. We talk about everything, and we vocalize very uncomfortable moments, and we have very uncomfortable discussions about things when we're not happy, or when we're not sure how something's going to work, or like just anything. Like sometimes we talk to each other about burning it all down. Like we are like, it's just, there's situations where we have to have these really uncomfortable conversations. And I would say I haven't had like a feeling in a long time that I don't want to talk to you about something. Yeah. Like I think it's easy now to have uncomfortable conversations because we've done it before. Yeah. So
in the past it was really hard. Like I specifically remember at the beginning of our relationship with Duo, I think there was multiple times where like we would just cry at home and not tell each other what wasn't working necessarily. And we got to a point where we were like, this isn't working. Like we have to talk to each other about these things. It's uncomfortable and hard, but it's not really uncomfortable anymore or hard. No. It's actually kind of relieving, to be honest. Just recently we're really in the thick of a lot of stuff right now. We're just super busy, and sometimes we'll jump on Voxer and just cry. Like there's been days where I'm just like, I'll cry to her on Voxer and then I'll feel better like 20 minutes later. And on those days where I'm having a harder day, she'll kind of lift me up, and when she's having a harder day, I'll lift her up, because we know that it's hard to both have hard days. So we got to try to be there for each other through the thick and thin of all of that.
Yeah, it is definitely. There are a couple times where, like, we definitely are both down in the dumps. And then we just know that, like, we need to step away, or we need to just, like, I don't know, take a break, or, walk away from the situation, because neither of us can help each other, which definitely happens. But more often than not, we can balance each other, and one of us can, like, help lift the other one up when we're feeling really bummed. So that's definitely always been a consistency, I'd say, in not even just these 5 years, but also, like, back at the agency when we were... there.
Yeah. Like if I was having a bad day, I'd be like, I need to go get a coffee. Please come with me right now.
Yeah. Another thing too, in terms of business partnership, I think like we're one business, two people. And so it seemed like for a really long time, we have to have the same goals. We have to both like have the same things that we want, because it's one business. And I think we're realizing this more in the last year, that we should have different goals and our business can grow in more than one way. And I think that is really important to understand, because the goals don't have to be the same just because you're a partnership. Like, I can want to grow in one way and Court can want to grow in another way, or we can want totally separate hours. We can want totally separate tasks, or like ways we work, or ways we bring in money, or how we work. Like, if someone's more behind the scenes or someone's more in the client side, like there's so many ways a partnership can evolve. And I think that's something we've realized more so, that we need to get better at discovering what those personal goals are, so that we can really set our business up for success, in that our business is growing in a way we both feel happy about, and it's not all of a sudden just evolving to one person and not the other.
Yeah.
So that is really important to sit down and think through.
And then I think just like helping each other reach those goals. Like, obviously, if Abby has a goal for how she wants SEO to run and operate in our business, I'm obviously going to be there from a business partner perspective to like help that goal come to life, right? There's things that I need to do behind the scenes to help with that. And same goes for her with helping anything that I wanted to do on the branding side of things. But just knowing too that like we have to be respectful of each other's goals and how we want to evolve in our business, as far as the services and the things that we offer, and you know how we kind of want to run the day-to-day within our business. So it's not, they might be separate, but we're both like trying to help achieve each other's goals too.
And those, if you're in a partnership or considering a partnership, I'd say talk about those things right from the beginning. Like, we have not done this. Like, we have not had like a goal, vision, planning day in 5 years.
We have talked about it
every year. Every year,
and we're like, well, okay, we'll do it in like a month, because we're too busy right now, which is really bad.
It is really bad. So we will do it, and when we do it, we will share it. But we still have not done that. We have these conversations, but they're one-offs, or they're not like fun, big goal planning setting days. But it sounds really fun, and I think like if you are in the early stages or not, or if you just actually, and also you don't need to wait for the beginning of the year. Like, do this stuff whenever the time feels right. Your new year can be whenever you want it to be. Think about all the businesses out there whose fiscal year starts in February. Just make your own fiscal year. Who cares? Like,
that's your business.
Yeah, set up your business however you want it to be, so you can goal plan whenever you want and make your year whenever you want. Just really setting aside that time. So I think that's something that you need to have those conversations on from the beginning, basically.
And I mean, we've talked about like getting an Airbnb and like having a full weekend of just like brainstorming and talking about goals and talking about the future and the vision of Duo. And obviously we haven't done that because we just said that. But I think when people think about those things, sometimes they get scared and they're like, oh, this is a big unfun thing. Like, I don't want to do this. It's not fun. So that's where you got to make it fun. Like, that's where we've talked about like, let's get an Airbnb and then like we can DoorDash some food, or we can have, go grocery shopping and make our own food, and just kind of tailor the weekend to be super fun and collaborative versus like, oh my gosh, we're working and we really have to figure this out.
Yeah. Which we've done that. We've gotten hotels but then we've just made it fun because we knew we couldn't work, or we have worked because we had so much to do. Which the last hotel we did, we had to finish SEO on tap. So that was a beast, and we ended up working on that and our brand.
But it was fun.
It was fun.
I mean, because we had a rooftop hot tub. So anytime we needed a break, we're like, let's
hot
go.
tub, a sauna. Yeah, it was, and drinks and food, room service. It was great.
And work.
Yeah, and work. Yeah, so it can still be fun.
Yes.
I would say too, like, when you are in the thick of things, like, that is something we do sometimes. Like, we know we need to get out of our house, especially since we have kids too, and like getting out of the house and away from them can help to be a little bit more productive in those seasons. But just booking a hotel room and like making work more fun, like, I think that is something that you can kind of sprinkle in throughout the year, not just.
And it was just
holidays.
A hotel room in town here in Minneapolis. We didn't go to a different town. We were right there, like 20 minutes from our houses if we needed to go home for whatever reason. So it wasn't like this big old trip. It was just pack an overnight bag, go do this thing at this hotel, really just like check out from your personal life so you can really focus in on this, big thing that you need to launch, or this goal setting meeting that you guys have that you need to do.
Yeah. So right now, this phase that we're in our business right now is we're constantly asking ourselves this question of, what do we have to do? Like, what has to be me? What has to be Courtney? What has to be us together? And not just like want to do it, but actually have to do it. Like, what are those things that we have to do? Because the things that don't need to be us, we need to outsource, because we can't keep things afloat. And that's just the situation right now, which is good. And that's what happens as your business grows and scales, is eventually you need to outsource. And I think I'm not going to lie, we're probably in a phase where we should have considered outsourcing before. Like, we needed it. And if you're on the cusp of like, I'm starting to get really busy, I'm starting to get really stressed out, maybe this could help me, it absolutely will and will help you. Yes. Like, do it before it's too late.
I think we did it maybe a little too late, and now we're kind of playing catch up with the individuals that are helping us.
Yeah. And it's hard to like source the right people. And that's always like, I know that is the hardest conversation of like finding the right person and connecting with people. I would say every single person that has worked with us has either been a student of ours, or we've gotten a referral to them, or we know them personally. We have not just cold brought people on. Maybe one time we did
interview a few designers, and we brought one designer on that was kind of cold, and it worked for a while, but then we kind of slowed down, so we didn't need her. But now, and that was a couple of years ago, but now we definitely need the consistent help, and we've found some really amazing people to help move the needle forward and to help us on our team. But it is hard. It's hard to find good people, and I know that can be a thing that really stops people from outsourcing, because they don't want to take the time to interview, or they're trying to find that really perfect candidate and it's not working. But sometimes you have to go through a few before you find the one that's really going to work for you. We finally have somebody that's able to help from a design perspective on the team, and I keep telling Abby I'm so thankful for her, because she's amazing, and it's really it really has changed how I work and what I should be focusing on versus what she can help me with.
Yeah, and another point that we've outsourced to isn't even client facing, it's project management within our internally. And that's also something to consider too, is that outsourcing doesn't always have to be duplicating the services or the things that you're offering. It can absolutely be bringing someone on to help with the administrative, like behind the scenes, like just keeping things flowing, keeping things afloat. And that has been beyond helpful, because I've really noticed like my brain power can't go towards certain things like it could before, because I need to like conserve all of the brain power and energy that I have for the big tasks and the big things that are going to move the needle in our business. So I would say, what would be your biggest advice for someone who's starting a business partnership?
Wow, why does she do this to me? Puts me on the spot on our own podcast. Okay, sorry, say that again. What would be
your biggest piece of advice for someone who's either like newly in a business partnership or thinking about one, or I don't know, even a year in or something?
Communication. Just keeping that communication wide open, not being afraid to have those hard conversations right off of the bat, and just kind of talking through like, okay, when something arises, how are we going to tackle this together? And I want to do this in our business. What do you want to do in our business? It literally all comes down to communication, because if you keep that communication open and you're not afraid to have those hard conversations, and you aren't afraid to tell your business partner like, hey, I really love this part of our business and I would love to kind of own this. Is that okay with you? What do you love to do in our business? And just like really talking all the time. I probably talk to Abby more than I talk to my own husband, to be honest. So it's really about that open line of communication.
Yeah, I'd say that like you need to have those conversations too. Communication is absolutely the answer. Like you need to communicate everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. But I would say too, like in a partnership, you both need to do the unsexy things. Like that is something that I think I see people struggle with, is that I see someone will do all of, like someone will take the load of like carrying all the weight of like all the unsexy things in the business, and the other person won't. And so I think those are conversations where you need to be like, hey, these tasks are yours, these tasks are mine. It's not like, yeah, you should absolutely do what you love to do, but you should also carry the weight of all of the unsexy things together too. And that can be a really hard conversation to have in the beginning of your business.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're in a business partnership right now or you're thinking of being in one, I think this is something that like it's been a lot of work, but it's absolute. I wouldn't want to do this by myself by any means at all.
I couldn't do this
Never.
by myself.
No, I think the best part is that you're not alone and you really have someone to bounce off of regardless and ride the ups and downs. And I think, no, for us, like it's only gotten better. I think everything has just evolved in the best way. So we hope that it does that for you. Or if you want to know, if you guys have any questions for us, like specifically about our partnership too, please ask, because we love sharing more behind the scenes of how we work together. And if you have any ideas or any things that you'd like to see within our business, just reach out. Send us a DM on Instagram. Let us know, because we'd love to share.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.